Great fictions help us escape from reality. Perhaps no media is better evidence of this than The Great Escape, which is a show that follows a group of celebrities as they attempt to break out of elaborate escape rooms, ranging from theme parks to zombie-infested prisons. But one setting stands out among the rest, at the intersection where fiction meets reality. This is The Great Escape. Cambridge Dictionary defines reality as the state of things as they are, rather than as they are imagined to be. And as minimizing as that definition is, I'm willing to roll with it for one simple reason. It denotes an essential implication. Reality is outside of our control. Reality is experienced, but it can't be mastered. This sense of impotence necessitates escapism. Sigmund Freud stated that we simply cannot do without auxiliary constructions that allow us to escape reality. These auxiliary constructions can take the form of fictions, like books that build unimaginable worlds, movies that offer visual spectacles, and video games that prompt players to embody avatars. In the article, The Rationality of Escapism and Self-Deception, author John L. Longway writes, "The function of escapism makes a lot of sense to counter the overdose of reality." In recent years, escape rooms have emerged as a new form of fiction that combine a cognitive and physical break from reality. Escape rooms don't just ask you to think about breaking free from reality, they force you to actually do it. But what is an escape room really? Most escape rooms feature a theme. It could be a classroom, underwater submarine, or something else. These themes structure the fundamental tacit of the cognitive escape from reality. Themes with supernatural elements exacerbate this tacit and further establish the divide between fiction and reality. Themes with natural or historical elements conversely blur the line between fiction and reality. Escape rooms have a simple but ironic premise: escape from the fictional setting and return to reality. It's ironic because escape rooms serve the function of a temporary escape from reality, but the experience itself is structured around breaking free, perhaps suggesting that an escape is only an escape because of its temporary nature. If it becomes the predominant mode of living, it actually becomes the structure for reality. For example, one who spends less time in the real world as opposed to a game world may logically say that their virtual diegesis is more real than the world they physically inhabit. Escape rooms feature challenges and puzzles that test the physical and cognitive abilities of their participants. These activities keep participants' minds and bodies moving, which helps them to stay active within the fiction. They may also support the theme via costuming, props, and set design. But even when an escape room has a great theme, structure, and puzzles, it still needs stakes for people to get invested in. What do you win for escaping, other than the fleeting relief of not having to think about reality for a while? This is the great challenge of escape rooms. For all their brilliant utility, they cannot escape the reality of their own invention. They offer an ironic respite, but every escape requires a return to reality. Not to mention that there are limits to escape rooms. If you want to experience something with a high production value, you're probably going to pay a lot of money. It's difficult for an escape room to have a grand scale, because the cost of investment needed to produce it would be impossible to turn a profit on. Enter The Great Escape, a television show that takes the dream of massive escape rooms and turns them into reality. The Great Escape is able to exist because it's not replayable. The sets are constructed for one-time use. The cost of maintaining them would be prohibitive for any company hoping to offer the experiences to the public. But the show works twofold. One, it builds the scale we wish for, and two, it allows us to experience it vicariously. It may not allow us to directly partake, but it serves the function of other escapist media, while adding an element of plot escape, otherwise unaddressed in most other fictions. The Great Escape does a great job of endearing us to its cast. Over the course of its 4 seasons, the show builds to showcase a scale we didn't even know possible. True delight comes from pushing the boundary of expectation. The Great Escape not only pushes the boundary, but breaks it entirely. The producers align us with the cast by making them oblivious of what they're walking into. This makes us feel like we're in on the mystery, attempting to gather clues and find the next piece of the puzzle. The Season 3 finale of The Great Escape, Back to the Gyeongseong, sees the crew rediscover the time machine from the season's premiere. But this time, rather than traveling back to a cramped interior with slightly changed set dressing, they find themselves in a vast open expanse, fully modeled after Seoul during the Japanese colonial period. The theme of this setting is supported everywhere. It actually feels like our crew has traveled back in time. This set was reportedly also used for the show Mr. Sunshine, which helps to explain how the producers were able to keep the presumably gargantuan cost of production down. Back to the Gyeongseong also has a clear structure. The escapers must make their way back to their timeline within 12 hours or they will vaporize. Of course, we know they won't actually die, but this structure does add stakes to the narrative. The producers of The Great Escape also add some emotional resonance to the narrative by connecting the escapers to the Korean independence movement. Back to the Gyeongseong isn't just a story about escaping a fantastical setting, it's a story about traveling to the past, to ensure the promise of the future. The premise allows the escapers to participate in their own history, including securing the Declaration of Independence,
우리는 오늘 조선이 독립한 나라이며 조선인이 이 나라의 주인임을 선언한다.
and woodblock used to create national flags.
자, 여러분, 기쁜 소식입니다. 태극기 목판이 안전하게 도착했습니다.
The narrative reaches a melancholy peak when the escapers sing the Korean national anthem. At this moment, it seems like the nationalistic message of independence supersedes the need for escape, which ironically reinforces our immersion in the narrative, strengthening our own escape. Back to the Gyeongseong ends with the escapers leaving the past for an uncertain future, but the catharsis has already been communicated. We've seen a story with adventure, humor, and pathos. This episode may not have the same resolution as previous ones, but it's special in its own right. It's worth noting that the team behind The Great Escape adhered to an insane level of detail to ensure immersion in the setting. It would be natural to think that the escapers actually left the time machine and moved to the other sets, but behind-the-scenes footage shows how the team developed a wheel system to move them between rooms in the premiere, and outside down a cement path in the finale. Hell, they even built an entire set next to the Gyeongseong from Mr. Sunshine to ease the transition.
벙커 건물은 저희가 완전 제로 바닥에서 새로 지은 건물입니다.
왜 새로 지었나요?
없어서요.
This level of care truly makes The Great Escape special. As for the blend between fiction and reality, Neil Gaiman writes, "Fiction can show you a different world. It can take you somewhere you've never been. And while we're on the subject, I'd like to say a few words about escapism. I hear the term bandied about as if it's a bad thing, as if escapist fiction is a cheap opiate used by the muddled and the foolish and the deluded, and the only fiction that is worthy, for adults or for children, is mimetic fiction, mirroring the worst of the world the reader finds herself in." Interestingly, reality television, which The Great Escape somewhat occupies, is one of the most popular forms of escapist entertainment. On that subject, Dr. Jacob Johansson writes, "On the surface, it appears that reality TV shows are only watched as a form of entertainment or escapism. Viewers enjoy seeing others suffer, argue, or be in embarrassing situations and may feel a bit better about themselves. However, reality shows are also a genre that show human emotions in their rawest form and all their complexity. Viewers connect to that on an affective and emotional level. They feel touched by the authenticity they see on screen and can relate to it. When we combine these two seemingly disparate things, fiction and reality, we begin to see how similar they can be. Media that meet at the intersection between fiction and reality can impart a special sense of escape.
정말 어떤 꿈을 꾸는 몽환적인 느낌까지 들었어요.
뭐야? 대박이다. 대박이야.
진짜. 이래서 이게 대탈출 플렉스, 대탈출 스케일.
뭐야 이게 도대체? 난 진짜 너무 신기한 것 같아. 이게 현실에서 일어날 수 있는 일이야?